You're listening to Heroes in the Moment. What's up, heroes? I'm Michael.
And I'm Nathan.
And today we're doing a season review for What If?
What If Season 2, right?
Season 2.
Man, how many years? Like 2 years since first
Two.
season?
Yeah,
2 or
two.
3, something like that. I feel like it's been a long time.
It's been a long
man.
time, but it's
Yeah.
back. And apparently season 3 is coming sooner than expected.
That's wild. My guess is that they already have Season 3 finished.
It looks
and they're
like
just
it.
waiting on it.
It looks like it, and
Yeah.
it looks like they're waiting for it to come out, which we'll talk about later. But neither here nor there. So season 2, it had some pluses and minuses.
Yeah,
I think we can say that
definitely,
for
yeah.
sure. I mean, I think as a whole, season 1's probably better.
I agree.
In my
Season
opinion.
1 had a better overarching storyline.
It did,
And
the
I think it
finishing.
had greater, like, singular stories, too.
It did. I think the whole Ultron story at the end was just fantastic.
Oh, man, yeah.
It was so good. And then in this season, what they were going for in their storyline was not as good.
No, I
in my
agree.
opinion.
I
So
agree.
We'll talk
Stop
about it.
giving
we'll go through
Peggy
each of
Carter so many dang.
them. So quit. All right, one is enough.
I love Haley Atwell, but why is she in half of these episodes and
I
half
don't
of the
know.
first season?
I don't. It doesn't make any sense.
She
at
got
all.
like blackmail or something on Disney the way
Has
they're
to
putting her
be.
and everything.
But oh well, it's it is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So with that being said, we'll talk about each episode briefly, and we'll just keep going through it until we rate them out of 10.
All right.
So the first episode was What If Nebula Joined the Nova Corps?
Yeah.
I think this episode was fun.
Yeah.
Definitely Blade Runner, the Batman detective vibes.
I thought Blade Runner as soon as it came on.
it definitely had those
The
vibes.
dark streets.
And we got like a new look of a different version of a Guardians of the Galaxy team, which was
yeah,
cool.
I like that.
But as a whole, I was kind of bored.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
I did actually find this one a little more interesting than some of the other ones, partially
Fair.
because it's the first episode, so I was because I binge watched them all today.
Yeah.
But I do like what they did with the whole plot twist with the villain, even though I think it was predictable.
Yeah.
I do like that they tried to do that because I don't think any other episode like had a surprise villain like that, right?
Right. It didn't.
So I give credit.
I give credit for it. It's a solid like 7. I
I'll say,
think.
yeah,
I
solid
think a
7 out of 10.
7 for that one.
Yeah.
It was fun, but at the same time, like you get bored. But it was cool to see like a different version of a Guardians team, and
Yeah.
with Nebula at the core. I think that was kind of interesting.
But yeah, ultimately, like I don't know, this wasn't the concept that I was
We
really looking
asked.
forward to.
No, it
yeah.
wasn't a question we asked either.
And
so
that's a like recurring theme I'm seeing from
It
fans.
is.
It's like, hey man, like can we actually get what if episodes that we
that we
care
asked
about?
for, and we got 2 this season.
Yeah.
That we asked for. And that
Pretty
was it.
much,
That
yeah.
was it. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right, the next episode was What If Peter Quill Attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes? And personally, I think this was one of the better episodes. I love this episode.
Yeah, I agree too. I like seeing obviously Peter Quill as a kid again.
It was great.
I'd seen him as a Celestial, even though he's just a kid, was really
Yeah.
cool.
And I think this is a what if question that we asked.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Like, what if Yondu delivered Peter Quill to Ego
Yeah.
the first time? This is a question we asked, and it delivered on that. And it was really, really cool to see the Avengers assemble in the 80s.
Yeah.
I love the team. I
was
love
dope.
Hank Pym as the lead.
Who
I
was the
think,
giant guy?
that was
Bill
Goliath.
something?
Yeah, Goliath. He was
Okay,
in
I
Ant-Man
didn't
and the
recognize
Wasp.
him at first.
Yeah, he was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But I think like I loved Hank Pym, Michael Douglas as the lead.
He
in
was
this.
great.
He was fantastic
Yeah.
in this movie.
I was
should say.
surprised he
It
came
felt
back
like a
to
movie.
voice him. Yeah.
I know. I was surprised too, but he killed it. I think he was awesome in this episode. I think this episode was fun. It was just cool to see the 80s Avengers, and then also Peter and Hope's relationship was really
Yeah,
cool.
that was dope.
And to see him kind of adopt Peter as his
Yeah.
own was really nice to see that.
That Thor
Thor was great.
Thor was
in this
great.
episode. Fantastic.
Winter Soldier looked like a beast.
Winter Soldier was cool.
I like what
even-
they did with his
I
redemption
even
story.
liked
in that too.
Marvel in this.
Yeah,
Her-
I liked her better than Brie Larson.
I
Yeah, she
loved
was
her. I
great.
thought she was great.
She was great.
I
yeah.
was like, I want to see more of her.
Yeah, I like that
honestly because I
team.
thought she was like she was the type of person you can easily talk to, like
Yeah.
somebody you could talk to, somebody that's helpful, and I thought it was great.
and then T'Chaka.
T'Chaka
right,
was
yeah,
great.
he was great too.
You know, Bucky and all this stuff. It was a really good team. Of course, you had Peggy Carter again, but she was not. You know,
Yeah.
it was weird, but she wasn't Captain Carter in this. And Howard Stark and stuff. But it was a fun episode. I think it's like an 8 probably.
Yeah, I'd say about 8. I think one of the best things about this episode was that it had multiple storylines going on at
Yeah.
once.
And
you know,
it
had
felt like a movie.
Yeah, it had obviously the main storyline with the kid, right? But then it also had Bucky's redemption storyline.
Yeah.
And then I think it might have had another one. Maybe I'm forgetting. But yeah, it was a lot more detailed than the others.
Yep, and it was just a ton of fun. I really
And Ego
really liked
was
this
cool,
episode.
of course.
Ego was super
Yeah.
sick.
It was
I
cool to
loved
see him
it.
again.
I thought this episode was one of the best.
Yeah,
I will
I
say
agree.
top 3 probably.
Yeah,
for
top
me,
3.
for sure. All right, next up was honestly probably my least favorite. I mean, this may be controversial, but
Yeah.
it was probably my least favorite, and that's What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas.
Mm.
I didn't really like this episode that much.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cheesy. I mean, I know that's what they were going for
Yeah.
and the purpose.
Like
I mean, I love
Christmas
Darcy. I love
special
Happy
kinda.
Hogan.
Yeah.
And the whole Die Hard idea is cool.
Yeah.
And then Justin Hammer coming back was cool, and I liked that. But Happy Hogan turning into a Hulk took me out.
know.
It took me out.
And not only that too, but specifically this episode had terrible dialogue.
It did.
Like some of the cheesy
It was
stuff.
so
Lauren
cheesy.
was walking by when I was watching it, and she was just like rolling her eyes at some of the dialogue. I'm like, yeah, this
It was
this is
so
pretty
cheesy,
bad.
and I thought at first I was excited for it because I was like Christmas special,
Yeah.
I'll have fun, it'll be fun to watch. And I watched this on Christmas Eve itself when it came out, and I was like, it'll be fun. But then after watching it, I was just kind of disappointed.
Yeah.
I thought it was just kind of boring. I thought it was cheesy, and it had not enough Avengers in it.
I was just about to say not enough Avengers.
No, not at all.
Like, not saying we don't love, Happy,
Yeah.
but this is never in the concept that we'd want.
No, I mean this is probably like a 4.
yeah,
I would say
4 or 5, somewhere like that.
Not the best out there. All right, the next up, this is my personal favorite, and I'm biased,
Yeah.
but this is my personal favorite. I love this episode, and that's what if Iron Man crashed into the
Yeah,
Grandmaster.
that's a great concept.
It was great, and it was a question we asked: what
Yeah.
happened to Iron Man? What would have happened if he stayed in the portal? And they answered that, and essentially, this was just Tony Stark Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Was what this was, and it was fantastic.
It's him like rising the ranks.
It was fantastic. Like him, his word, the wordplay. It was
Yeah.
so funny. Like Mount Rushmore killed me. I thought that was hilarious. Korg was great in this
Yeah.
episode. Valkyrie was great.
She was good too.
And of course Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster was hilarious as always. All the
The
line like,
exact
"Why is
same.
it sticky in here?" That killed me. So much other stuff like of this episode. It's my personal favorite. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought honestly this is probably like an easy 8.
Yeah.
Easy 8 or
Easy,
9.
8.5. I would say
It's
yeah.
definitely up there. Like you said, it is a question that we've asked before.
It is.
And it's really cool to see because, obviously we saw bits and pieces of that in Iron Man 1.
Right.
He's facing adversity. He's somewhere he's never been before, and he has to kind of climb out of there. So
And he
I
killed-
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Like I just wish it was Robert Downey Jr.
Mm.
Because I think that would it would gravitate more towards people, and I
Yeah.
think it would definitely surpass
that's
and
a
be even better.
huge paycheck they got to give that man.
that is
though.
for sure a huge
Man,
paycheck.
expensive.
But for what they did, and I feel like the actor who did do Iron Man killed it.
Yeah.
He sounds very similar, and it was just a fun episode. I had a great time watching it. It was probably my favorite this season,
Yeah.
just because of my bias, but it was really good.
He's a great character.
It was really good. All right, the next episode is what if Captain Carter fought the Hydra Stomper?
So this was like Winter Soldier
Mixed
but
with Black
with
Widow.
Peggy.
It was basically Winter Soldier mixed with
With Black Widow with the Red Room,
Yep.
all that jazz.
didn't
I
like
think
it.
I might have fallen asleep during this episode.
I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't think it was horrible, but it wasn't great. I mean, I feel like they tried to get elements of Winter Soldier was what their goal
Yeah.
was, but they failed miserably.
Yeah.
I think the Hydra Stomper shot is terrible in my opinion. It doesn't make any sense. Like
No,
him doing
I
that
was so
suit
confused.
doesn't make any sense.
So he's just like brainwashed when he's
He
inside the
brainwashed
suit
in it. It
or
doesn't make any
something?
sense to
I don't
me at
understand.
all. I think that the Captain Carter and Black Widow elements were really good in this movie.
Yeah.
Or not movie, but
And I like
episode.
seeing them fight side by side.
I did. I thought that was cool. But other than that, it didn't really have a lot of redemptive qualities.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this one as like a 5.
I think 6.
5, 6 maybe.
Anything between the 5 and 6
Wasn't great.
Yeah,
you
it just
know,
it
is
just
what
feels
it
like
is.
Michael. There's too much going on with this
I
episode.
agree.
I
I completely agree. I do agree.
It was like you said, trying to piece together parts of the Red Room and the Tosh Show with Winter Soldier, but instead it's gender swap, so it's Peggy
Yeah.
Carter, and that Steve
It's-
is AWOL, and you're like, oh,
It's just- it doesn't
This is
work.
not something
No.
we wondered.
It's not. I mean,
So-
some of the fight scenes that they did were really cool in animation.
Yeah.
I like
They
that.
look dope. Yeah,
But other than that, wasn't a huge fan of it.
Mm.
All right, next episode. This episode was good. I do think, and that's what if Kahori reshaped the world.
yeah,
I think if you look at it outside the aspect of Marvel and just like as an episode of something, it was good.
yeah.
Like, it was entertaining. The Spanish conquest and the whole thing, and the
Yeah.
speaking a different language and the powers and stuff. I think she's too OP, but
Listen, man, she is way
too OP. But this episode was fun. I thought it was really, really cool and interesting, and really cool to see this new world.
Yeah. To be honest, sometimes I wish that while it was a good episode, that I don't know. Sometimes you wish for your fan favorite characters to take up a slot. Like we didn't get really anything about Bruce Banner,
No,
and that really sucked.
and it's interesting though too. It's like this character is completely new.
Yeah.
Not even in comics.
Which
so
I guess this is. I don't know. Is this? Michael? Do you think this is the right place to introduce a new character?
I don't.
Because I don't think so.
I don't, because it doesn't make
taking anything
sense.
away from
Because if
her.
she comes into live action, nobody's gonna know who she
I
is.
know.
Because not many
And
people watch What
The
If.
people who do watch it, I don't think they'll much care.
I don't either. I don't think if like I personally, she wasn't a bad character.
She's
to
not a
me.
bad character
Not
at all.
It's just if she was more introduced in the comics and then brought in
And then
another
slowly brought
way,
in. But
it
it's the
might have
first
been
time
better.
we've seen this.
Ever.
Yeah.
So I mean, it wasn't bad. It just it is what it is, and I think this is probably a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, and to me, I saw this like just taken away from somebody else.
it is right.
I mean, in addition to Peggy Carter taking half
it
of the
was.
show.
It completely was. All right, next episode is What If Hela Found the 10 Rings.
Mm.
This episode was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Go
one-
in.
it
I
was,
liked it.
it was a great
this one
episode.
a lot.
And I was
had
surprised.
this one top 3.
I was surprised. I think so too. I think this one's top 3 for sure. I was surprised by how good this episode was.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, Hela, when she entered, like obviously she was the villain, she was the goddess of death, and then seeing her turn around and become the goddess of life and become the good guy at the end,
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Crazy, yeah.
And the writing was good. And
I know,
Odin being the
surprising.
villain,
I was like, okay.
and Odin being the villain finally,
Yeah.
like, I thought it was so well done. Wenwu was great.
Yeah.
The different her going through the trees and learning the power, and kind of a mix between like Ragnarok and Shang-Chi, like
Yeah.
the past version. I thought this episode was fun.
And I want more episodes like this.
Oh,
Not just
yeah.
like minor changes.
And
like,
I'm surprised they got Kate
you know,
Blanchett.
I know, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Not just like I don't know, one character takes another character's
Yeah.
place, but like, what if this character's motives were completely turned around 180?
And I
love that.
I thought it was great, and and it's definitely a what if. I mean, this wasn't a question that we necessarily asked, but I was
Yeah,
glad we
it
got
wasn't
it.
at all.
I'm glad we
But I
got
thought they
it.
did a good job.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was, it also had elements of Thor, the first Thor in it, which was really cool.
Yeah.
To see those elements, and I see a lot of complaints about this episode talking about like how Hela was too funny. But personally, I don't think it was bad. I think that
Yeah.
her funniness was okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kate Blanchett did a great job here, and I thought it was just a great episode.
I thought it was good too.
was
And
definitely
I wish it was a little more consistent with
I
that
know.
quality
Yeah,
across the
yeah.
whole season.
And I think this is probably a solid 8.
Yeah, I'd
would
say solid 8,
A
easy,
solid
yeah.
8. A solid 8. All right, this next episode, What If the Avengers Assembled in 1602? This episode was cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was
It's a
amazing.
really cool concept.
It was a really cool concept. Captain Carter ruined it for me. To be
Yeah,
honest, I
yeah.
mean, it's not like I don't like Captain Carter. It's not like I don't like the character.
She was
It's
out of
just-
place.
It didn't
Literally
make sense.
out of place.
Exactly. And I feel like if you took her out of the equation and focused just on the story that it had,
Yeah.
it would have been a lot cooler.
Focus more on Captain America as
Right.
Robin Hood.
And it was so cool.
that was an awesome idea.
awesome
Yeah,
concept.
seeing the men,
So
Bucky
cool.
and
I mean, it was kind of
Ant-Man.
a disappointment not to have Hawkeye as a part of the Merry Men. with
I
the
know
bow.
it makes no sense
it
why
didn't make any
he
sense.
was also snubbed.
He
This
was
season,
snubbed.
Too,
He was snubbed.
hugely.
I agree. But like, this episode was my most looking forward to.
Yeah.
And it was good. I had a fun time watching it. It was cool to see all these characters and the versions. Paul Rudd, of course, fantastic.
He was funny.
Loved him in this.
He's like, you
But-
tried these like eclairs, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
They're amazing. Like, we're here for the treasure. He's like, I'm not. He's eating the
It's so
food.
fun. Tony was great in this
Tony
episode
was
as well.
great. Yeah.
But honestly, like it was more disappointing than not just because of the whole Captain Carter
Oh,
plot.
dude, they had everything there that they needed.
Exactly.
But they were
and
focusing
Scarlet
way
Witch was
too
great in
much.
this
Scarlet
episode,
Witch
too.
was great.
I did not love Thor as like a villain character though.
I did. It didn't make sense with this character throughout the other episodes. Like
It
he's
didn't.
not one to rush to those decisions, but
No.
all of a sudden he sees this. He's like, "Oh, I gotta kill this girl now,"
Yeah,
and
it
everybody
didn't
with
make
her.
sense.
It doesn't make sense.
No.
And he wasn't like, I guess, like a villain, but
It was weird. It
I
was
mean,
weird.
I wish they just would have kept with the 1602 like
I
Robin
agree.
Hood
just that
esque
concept
style.
and
Yeah,
keep with that. Forget Captain Carter, and
Yeah.
I think it would have been a fantastic episode. But
I agree.
otherwise, it was probably like a 7.
yeah. I'd say
it
7
was
is
just
good
fine.
for that one.
All right, next up is the most disappointing episode of the series.
finale.
What if Strange Supreme intervened? This episode, I hated it. Honestly,
This episode was complete booty.
Yeah, I hated
Booty
it because it
bum
was
water.
cool to see Strange Supreme again. I loved him as that. In the beginning of the episode, I was like, okay, cool, we got a good story going on, and they completely ruined it. And not only did they completely ruin it, they completely ruined like the concept of different things in the MCU. Having Peggy Carter with like the Infinity Stones, and then flipping Mjolnir,
Yeah.
and all these other abilities.
Dude, when she picked up Mjolnir, dude, I was so mad. When
I was
she
so
did that.
mad. I wasn't mad about Mjolnir
I
necessarily.
guess it makes sense 'cause
with
she's-
Steve.
Yeah.
But the Infinity Stones made me so mad. I was
like,
like,
what?
she would be dead.
Yeah.
She's a human.
Anybody else?
She would be dead.
Well, she's a superhuman.
Like you're disgracing Tony Stark's death again. Like literally.
well, technically, there is a difference in their bodies, but we've never had a clarification on if a superhuman, say like a Bucky or Cap or a Black Panther, could handle it.
Peter Quill was half celestial and barely could handle it without the rest of the Guardians. They should have been dead.
That's a good point. That's a
So,
good point.
I mean-
yeah, she just like throws it into her hand. I'm like, what is this?
it was
man?
stupid. It was such a bad
I will
episode.
say, I was rooting for Doctor Strange the entire
Entire time.
I was like,
Absolutely.
kill these girls.
I
yo.
wanted him to win.
Yeah, me
I was
too.
like, you need your Christine.
Facts.
And
I wanted it.
Oh,
and
oh,
that's how
yeah.
you know it's good, because you're rooting for the dang villain.
Yep.
That's how you know it's well
and
written.
Strange Supreme is a fantastic character.
Yeah.
Like
Why
he
didn't
had
he
one
get
of the
another
better
episode?
He should have been.
I
the
don't
one.
understand why.
He should have been one that focused
He
on.
should have had an episode of him just taking out these threats.
That
Like
would've
the
been
most,
so cool.
the most interesting part about this finale was just like when it was zooming in on the wall and you see all these people like that he's beating. I'm
Yep.
like, oh, I wish I could have seen that.
Yep.
But instead we see the brand new character and Peggy Carter, who we did not ask to see,
Nope.
somehow beat him and use the Infinity Stones. It makes
And
no
nobody
sense.
liked the finale. Nobody
No,
did.
man.
I mean,
It was bad.
it made me mad.
It was so forced, man.
So
They
forced.
introduced a new character, and obviously Peggy Carter started the season. Like, let's team up girl power and have him beat the most powerful dude in existence.
I
Doesn't
want to
make
know
sense.
why. Like, what's Marvel's fetish with like creating like the most powerful characters like back to back to back?
I
Like,
don't know, dude.
It
Like,
doesn't make
why,
sense,
bro?
Like, what?
The OP characters are not fun to
They're
root
not
for.
fun.
They're boring.
They're not fun unless
They're
they're,
boring.
executed well, like Scarlet Witch is.
Yeah.
Unless she's vulnerable.
Yeah, she has like a deep familial connection.
Right.
that
And
you,
she
you know,
learned to use her
you root
powers.
for, yeah.
It wasn't like, Kahori, she just got him and now she's the most powerful being
Yeah,
ever.
and now
Or
she's
Captain
beating
Carter.
Strange Supreme, who just took out every single threat from every universe. It's like, this doesn't make sense.
Like he spent 100 of years learning and
Yeah.
growing in his power. Like
And Peggy, oh my god, you watch the Multiverse of Madness, and you see, Haley Atwell get beheaded like almost instantly. You're like, dude, they would have no chance. So I mean, like, not to say that like in a sexist sort of way, but his power level is clearly above theirs.
Clearly.
And like you said, just the fact that she was able to wield the Infinity Stones, like
Yeah.
you said, like we see what it did to a human in Tony Stark, and it just kind of disgraces his death by giving it to her.
It was absolutely ridiculous
So,
and poorly done. So I think this is like
man, we could have. That's like an
I don't
easy
know.
3 or 4.
3, 4 probably. 'Cause,
Yeah,
I
somewhere
mean,
around there.
I guess Happy Hogan Saves Christmas. Those are the bottom two in my
Yeah.
opinion. But
So-
it just wasn't that good.
So I mean, overall, as a season, it's definitely worse. I feel like than the first one. Season as a whole, I think Michael, I'd probably give it like a 6.
I agree. I was
honest.
thinking 6. I think I gave the first season a 7.
Yeah,
Um,
I do think in retrospect, I rated the first season too high. I think I gave it like an 8. or
you gave it a
something.
high. Yeah, you had a high.
I had a high
lower.
score. I really liked the Infinity arc they had going on there, but.
Well, the problem with What If in a lot of ways is they're only giving us 4 total episodes of questions we've actually asked, which I think is ridiculous. Like, for example, the only ones we got, like this season, we got what if Peter Quill, attacked Earth's Mightiest Heroes? We
Yeah.
asked that.
Mhm.
What if Iron Man crashed in the Grandmaster? We
Yeah.
asked that. And then last season we got, this one's kind of a iffy one, but it's kind of an interesting one. What if Captain Carter were the first Avenger? Okay,
Yeah,
if
I
she
mean,
took
yeah,
place,
we-
that's a possibility.
it's
And then
doable.
what if Ultron won? And those are the only ones.
Yeah,
There's so much other stories you could
I
explore.
want to see like a one like what if Thanos won, dude?
I want to see what if Thanos either won or the other half were snapped.
Yeah, that's the main one.
Or
yeah.
what if Thor went for the head? One of those would be
yeah,
sick.
that'd be cool.
All right. Or what if Morbius morbed the MCU? Like,
Or what if
Fire.
Captain America never crashed the plane? How would that looked? I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know, dude. It's just you got so many different options. What if Iron Man, never went out to the Middle East?
I know.
You know?
There's so many different ways, but and the questions you could answer instead of like,
You
what
know.
if Peggy Carter fought Strange Supreme with the battle of
With-
humanity?
with Kahori?
Like what?
yeah, I'm like, dude, how is this place not being torn to the ground with the most powerful
I
people
don't
in the
know.
world in one place?
It's ridiculous.
But she punched him with the stones in her hand. So
It didn't make any sense. I don't really even know.
it was something. Point is, I think season 3 has a promise to be better.
We'll hope.
Well-
based off the teaser we got with Winter Soldier and Red
Yeah.
Guardian, we'll hope.
And that's a concept I'm excited for.
I'm excited. It's interesting. It's not a question we asked again, but
no, but I mean,
we'll see.
we'll take it. Yeah,
We'll-
bring
we'll
back
see.
David Harbour. so.
we'll see what we get.
All right, guys, if you've enjoyed this episode, let us know by giving us a review and a download. Our podcast, Here's in the Moment, is available on all major podcast platforms, so feel free to go and check that out. We also have an Instagram at Here's in the Moment, so if you want to stay up to date on all the news, announcements, updates, check out the social.
Yep. And we just want to thank y'all for listening. And as always, we love you 3000.